All right, good to have you back. Let's talk about arpeggios a little bit. I don't want to assume that you know all your arpeggios. I haven't really met a lot of guitar players that know all their arpeggios, and so all I'd like to do today is just give you six different sets of arpeggios that you can use and think about. And I'm going to do these in parallel. Now, what that means is the first arpeggio we're going to look at is a C major 7. And then the next arpeggio we're going to look at is a C7. And then the next arpeggio is a C minor 7. Now, and then we'll move on to another arpeggio after that. We'll do F major 7, F7, and F minor 7. All right. Now, when the nice thing about looking at arpeggios in parallel like this, in other words, from the same root, is that you can see clearly what the difference is between a major 7 arpeggio and, for instance, a dominant 7 arpeggio or a minor 7 arpeggio, right? You can see and hear, for that matter, how what the changes are to change one arpeggio to another. So let's begin with a C major 7 arpeggio, starting on our C root. We'll go down below the root too, right? And we should add a parent chord to this. Right? So this chord is, there's our root, 7. You can hear that lovely dissonance between the root and the 7. And then the 3. And then the 5. Okay, so there's a major 7 arpeggio. Now, a major 7 arpeggio would come directly out of the C major scale. You're essentially just playing the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7 of a C major scale. So if I played a C major scale, it would be a good idea for you to have that underneath your fingers as well, right? So you can see and hear where the arpeggio is coming from, right? It doesn't just come from nowhere. It would be derived from a scale. So we've got three things here. We've got the scale, we've got the arpeggio, and we've got the parent chord that we're talking about. Okay, now when we move to a dominant 7 arpeggio, the only difference between a major 7 arpeggio and a dominant 7 type arpeggio is in the 7th. The 7th is lowered a semitone. That's a big deal because it also changes the scale that it comes from, right? So here's the dominant 7. You see here, you hear that. A very different sound, just that. Just that one note changed, and it's a very, very different sound from the major 7, right? And that dominant, that's a dominant 7 sound, and as you can tell, it's used in the blues quite frequently. Not necessarily just like only in Mixolydian. There are lots of different alterations and so on. But that key, the key there, is that flat seven. That makes it all happen because that flat seven sets up that tritone, that between the flat seven and the three. Right. Right. Yeah. I just want to get you thinking of that tritone because it's the defining sound in that arpeggio. So again, the arpeggio is as far as your fingering is concerned, you probably want to do a shift to finger one, so you can get that seven up there too. Whatever arpeggio you play, you should make these arpeggios identical in terms of fingering, ascending and descending. Never mess around with your fingering because you'll never get quick if you start playing your arpeggios different every time you sit down for a practice session. That's a nightmare. Okay, so and then we have a parent chord, right? And the parent chord is a seventh chord. Look at how closely they're related to the C major seven, C7, right? It's only that one note changing, right? Just that one note, that seventh coming back, a semitone. These are such important things to realize as you move forward in your development. Is if you start to learn patterns without seeing the voice leading, you're going to make your life a heck of a lot harder. And now, what I mean is, you play a pattern like this 10 million times, and you can just burn through it. Look at me, but you don't realize that pattern is only one note different, but more importantly, that chord. That arpeggio is only one note different than a major seven arpeggio, right? Now the same thing holds true. Oh, I should mention that the scale that we have here, the related scale, is going to be that flat seven, right? The Mixolydian mode, right? Okay. So chord, scale, arpeggio. And now a minor seven arpeggio. So the only difference between a minor seven arpeggio and a dominant seven arpeggio is in the three. The three is lowered by a semitone, right? So the dominant seventh arpeggio that we just played, we're going to take that three and lower it. But I find that the fingering is rather than do this silly stretch, I think we want to move that down to here. Right, that's nice there. So we have the 1 flat 3, 5, flat 7, flat 3, 5. Very close to a pentatonic scale. You can hear that's a minor seven. Now, if I take the related scale, we can just do exactly the same idea. We had the Mixolydian mode, and so all we're going to do is take the Mixolydian mode and lower the 3, and so we're going to end up with. And so what we end up with there is a Dorian mode. Sorry, I just went blank there because I'm thinking of something ahead. Dorian mode. Yes, it's not a natural minor scale. It's not an Aeolian mode. It's a Dorian mode, and the Dorian mode has that nice that raised 6th degree, flat 7th degree, and so it's a very bright sounding minor mode, and it sounds very hip in right that. You can hear that major 6 and the 9 and the flat 7, but that major 6 is a characteristic. But we're not looking at modes right now. So now what to recap? We've got a major, a major 7. Sorry, major 7 chord, and the C major scale. Then we have the dominant 7th and the dominant 7th chord and the Mixolydian mode, right? And then same deal. We have like it's a Mixolydian scale with a lowered 3, and the arpeggio, of course, very similar to the pentatonic scale, one note removed, and its related chord. All right, now let's do exactly the same thing with a root on 5th string chord, just quickly. So here's my F major 7 chord. Here's my arpeggio. And then they're my parent chord, and then underneath that the scale. So you're always thinking in this group of 3, right? And then dominant 7th, arpeggio, and the only difference between the major 7 and the dominant 7 is the flat 7 degree, and then you would fill in the rest with the scale. And then that would be the Mixolydian mode. And then finally, parent chord minor. And we're going to take that Mixolydian mode and lower that 3. The arpeggio. There's my parent chord and the related scale. I just want to get the sounds across to you as much as I can. And so what this is leading to is I would say a comprehensive approach to plural practicing. When you sit down and you start practicing your scales, don't just practice your scales, practice your arpeggios. And don't just practice your arpeggios, practice your chord forms, and do them in systems. That's the word I'm looking for, thank goodness. So if we take, for instance, like G major 7, and then I could play my scale. And this is me practicing, and there's my arpeggio. I take that up a fret. There's my. Sorry, I threw in a nine. Right, and so on. Right now, that's a way to practice, and so you practice your root on sixth string arpeggios, major, dominant seventh and minor seventh, all the way up and down the fretboard. Then to do exactly the same thing on with root on fifth string chords, the same deal, right? A major chord, seventh chord, minor chord. And at the same time, I would encourage you to get a little inventive as well. Look for the sounds in each of these scales. Remember that you're playing an Ionian mode, which is the same as major scale, and you're playing a Mixolydian mode, and you're playing a Dorian mode. Right? Look for the sounds of those scales. Always hear what you're playing. Right? Don't fall into this trap of making everything visual and patterns and whatever you want to call them, right? The it's about your ears. It's about teaching your ears. But your fingers need to know where to go. So your ears want to tell your fingers where to go. That's, where you want to end up. So that's just a little bit about plural practice, arpeggios, scales, and chords in parallel, and how to practice those as you move forward in your development to greatness. All right, and thanks for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, please give us a like or give us a subscribe. And if you've got any comments or any questions, or if there's something that you'd like to learn and you'd like us to do, let us know. All right, great, thanks.